What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another mushroom video. The lab is finally set up. The entire lab is set up. Look at this. So we're starting growing mushrooms. Today's video is going to be making some liquid culture. So not technically growing mushrooms, but growing the mycelium that is going to turn into the fruiting bodies. This is a liquid culture. So this is a golden treasure oyster liquid culture. So you can kind of see that mass floating in there. That is active, live, growing, healthy mycelium that when you take that and put it to grain, this is what you get. A big, healthy jar of mycelium. You can see it wants out so bad that it's actually growing up the sides, trying to escape. We're going to be doing 4 different strains, I believe. We got the Shiitakes, the beautiful Reishi, very good for inflammation, the immune system, the blue oyster, lion's mane, and the golden oyster. And last but not least, another very powerful medicinal mushroom, the turkey tail. So now I'm gonna kind of show you actually everything I do to prep and get ready to turn these into 10 times the liquid culture. So all of these liquid cultures are coming from the Mycelium Emporium. I got my lion's mane and golden oysters from them and they grew wonderfully. So usually I think people like to go to agar first from liquid culture, but for today, we're just gonna go right from syringe to jar and just kind of show my process of how I do that and how you can do it too at home. Don't need any special tools besides a pressure cooker, which, I mean, I don't even have like an actual legit autoclave. I just have an Instant Pot. So Instant Pot, some 70% ISO, obviously your liquid cultures, bottle of bleach cleaner, honey or Caro corn syrup, some gloves, distilled water, a magnetic stirrer. If you don't want to buy a magnetic stirrer, you can always just put a glass marble in the jar and just kind of swirl it around. But you can see all my liquid cultures have the stir bar in the bottom and copious amounts of grain spawn. First and foremost, before you do absolutely any mycology work, clean your station. As you can see, that table is pretty dirty. Table's clean, we're ready to go. First thing you're going to need for your liquid culture, mason jars. These are the mason jars I use. I believe they're a pint. I fill it up to this line with 1.5 cups water. So when you're making liquid culture, you have to use distilled water. Give your gloves a spray down with 70% ISO. Let's start prepping these jars. So starting with this jar, we are going to remove the top. You're gonna need a wet paper towel. And I make my lids with self-healing silicone gasket maker. You can get this stuff at Walmart. This makes your healing injection port. You're gonna need a hole punch. Take your lid, 2 holes. Just like that. So now all of our jars have been hole punched. Next thing you're going to need, your silicone gasket maker, as well as paper tape. So you can see on one side, I did 2 layers of paper tape. Now on the other side, we are going to take our silicone and just put a little dab of it on. Now the reason I had you get a wet paper towel is we are going to take it now and just dab it. So here we go. That's good on both sides. So that's our first jar done. We got a hole for gas exchange covered with 2 pieces of paper tape and a hole for injections with our self-healing silicone. Now we're just gonna repeat for the other 3 jars. Look who decided to show up. All right, so all 4 jars are done. This is what they should look like. First, you start off with your distilled water. You're going to fill it up to the 1.5 cup line. Now we got some raw honey. You can also use corn syrup. I don't have any measuring cup for this. I'm just gonna kind of eye it. It's 1 tablespoon of honey or corn syrup to 1.5 cups distilled water. So now we are stirring up the culture in the magnetic stir. Okay, so now we're going to sterilize our 4 liquid culture jars. We ended up just not stirring them. We're gonna wait till after they're pressure cooked to stir them, because the honey is just super crystallized. So before you pressure cook them, you need to wrap the lids in tin foil, because like I was saying again, that since it's porous, it's just gonna soak it and contaminants are gonna get right through. So just take a little piece of tin foil, wrap it over the lid. Oh, actually, when you're pressure cooking, if you don't have a steam basket, just take the lid off like that, pop it right in the water, set your jar on top, and you're done. It just creates a little barrier so the jar isn't sitting right on top of the heating element. Pop that top right on, the pressure cook button. Make sure it's on high and set it for, I like to do my liquid culture for 30 minutes and let that pressure cook, and we will be back when that is done. All right, so we just got the liquid cultures out of the Instant Pot. Now we're just putting them on the mixer. Make sure when you're getting them out of the pot to either work in front of a flow hood or work inside of a still air box, especially if you use these instead of a steam basket, because the lid does pop off. And at this point, you want to keep them sterile. So now we're just going to let these cool down. We're going to inject with our liquid cultures once these get to room temperature. All right, we're gonna be making grain spawn now. So I'm busting out the big boys. These are, how big of a jar is this?
That's a quart.
That's a quart jar right there. Popcorn, glass jar, and water. That is all you need to make some grain spawn. So that is 9 pounds of corn or 6 quart jars. Hello everybody, this is actually day 2. So Slade is not here anymore. We finished up sterilizing the grain last night at about 9 p.m. we were here till. And we left the corn go overnight because it took about 3 or so hours to sterilize. So we are going to be inoculating our liquid cultures and our corn jars today. We're gonna do our shiitake first. So make sure you label each of your jars with the strain name and the date. I know my handwriting looks like some sort of caveman hieroglyphics, but just do your best. So now for our liquid culture. So we added about 5 cc's to this. You can do a little bit less, like 3 cc's, but I like to just throw 5 in there to give it a good jump start. And now we're gonna quickly mix this and put it on the shelf. A mistake that I see a lot of beginners doing is spraying the needle with alcohol after they're done inoculating. What you actually want to do is take a little torch like this, and you're going to flame sterilize the needle till it gets nice. And you can see some coming out of the top. You want it red hot all the way up. First one completely done. That's over. Put your lid back on the needle and dispose of that. You can see when I was injecting the shiitake, I kind of do a swirl motion so it really coats all of the corn. So that's injected, and we're gonna set that on the shelf somewhere nice and warm around 79 degrees. And that should be fully colonized in about 2 to 3 weeks. Heater set to 80 degrees. Keep it nice and warm in here. And our golden oysters, lion's mane, blue oyster, more blue oyster, turkey tail, reishi, shiitake. Got all of them on the shelf now. Just gonna let them incubate for the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll see how it goes. Don't worry, I'm gonna keep you guys updated with how the jars go. And yeah, this is the start of my mushroom farm. So super excited. I hope none of these get contaminated. If they do, I'm gonna show you guys what to do when you have to deal with something like that. See you guys next video. Keep it real. Stay growing mushrooms, stay taking mushrooms. Yeah, thanks for watching.